So here's how I like to teach. I'm going to code and you're going to copy. It's as simple as that, okay? So I just want you to trust me a bit. I'm going to put everything on the screen. I want you to follow along, and you can pause, you can go back to make sure, but just try to make sure you're getting the finger movements right, that you're getting all the code right. And then afterwards, later on, we'll kind of sync up and talk about, what did we do, okay? So I'm just going to code. I'm just going to go straight through it, and it might go kind of quick, but I'm going to leave it up to you to just take your time and just copy. Ready? Okay. Okay, and so before we do any coding, we want to save this file. So follow along. You're going to want to save this. I'm going to save as. And I want you to put it on your desktop, okay? I want you to put it on your desktop, and I want you to name it index.html, okay? So here's a few rules, and I'm going to be a bit of a stickler as we go through because it's important. This will be important later on. We want to name it everything lowercase, okay? Rule number 1, everything lowercase. No spaces, right? No weird spaces anywhere. Oh my God, don't do that. All right, no weird spaces, no uppercase, you already said that. And also, no I don't know, weird characters or something, I know you're excited, but just no, okay? Keep it simple. This is the rules. We're naming it index because index is the homepage of our site. That's kind of like a shorthand that developers use. The index will default to the homepage, but more on that later. But so here we're going, index.html. We're putting it on our desktop. And if you did it correct, you should see it says index.html over here. Okay. Also, man, just can you clean your desktop up a little bit? I know you have a few things, I'm not trying to brag. I know I'm giving you rules on cleaning your own desktop, and mine looks pretty clean. Man, I just throw everything in a desktop folder. But the truth is, if you're a developer and your desktop's a mess, it's going to take you a lot longer. You may fall behind and then, blame yourself, or worse, or cry, or who knows. That's all fine. But, we want to succeed. We want to do awesome. So clean your desktop up a little bit. Pause if you need to. Get it looking good. Okay. So assuming things are a little bit cleaner, I know a few of you out there maybe didn't follow, but if your desktop's clean, you should be able to easily find this index.html, okay? That's important. We're going to need that in a second. So on to the copying. I will code, you will copy. Ready, go. Okay, no need to go super quick. Let's take our time. Okay. No matter where you are right now, I want you to just pause, just look up or look back over here. Okay, see? A few tips, right? So of course you didn't type all this yet. You're not here yet, I understand. But a few tips. If you want to make your text larger, you can, on a Mac, Command plus, right? Or Command minus to make it smaller. On a window, that's just Control plus and minus. So that might help you, okay? I'm going to save, right? So we do save, but I want to encourage you to start using the shortcuts. It's going to really save you time. So for that, it's going to be Command S on the Mac. I think it's Control S on the Windows, right? And when you get this far, again, pause if you need to get this far, but when you get this far, I want you to find your new file on your newly clean desktop and double click it. There we go. Okay, so if you double clicked that file, yeah, it should have opened up in your default browser. Okay, for now that may not, mine is Chrome, but for yours might be different, right? I would encourage you to use Chrome if you can. We could do a little more on that later. But here we go. I have Chrome, and you can see it opened up. If you got this far, you should be able to see this. If you didn't, you may have an error, and you may want to check a little closer on what's going on. Okay, so get this far, and then I'm going to explain what's going on. Okay, so what did we do? We wrote some basic HTML so far, right? Nothing, nothing too magical, just the word, right? Party tips, cool. But what we did is we started with these tags. These are all HTML tags, yeah? And in HTML, quite often there's this opening tag and a closing tag, right? You can see the closing tag because it has this backslash dealy here, right? And there's an opening head and there's a closing tag, right? There's a lot of symmetry going on. Opening title, you can see Sublime Text, it even like highlights, right? When I click one of them, it finds the other one, okay? So that's something cool to notice, right? We have these tags, or these elements as they're called, right? In HTML, and we have the opening and closing. You may also be wondering, hey, Chris, do I have to do all this indenting stuff you got going on? Yes and no. You know, try your best to mimic. I'm just doing a simple tab on each of these, or I'm doing a double tab here. The reason we do this is to keep things organized. Just watch, don't do this. But if I undo it all, it just gets kind of sloppy. So, you know, you may hear a developer say, he has really nice written code or something like that, right? And just what that means is that your HTML is just like, you know, indented and looks good. So try to get in the habit of that. You know, in the beginning, you can get away with not doing it, I guess, but try your best. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. All right, let's move on and finish our page. I like to do the opening and closing tag at the same time. I didn't do it the first time there, but if you do the opening and closing, it helps to ensure that you're not going to forget one of them. All right, pretty solid. So pause, get this far, and when you're here, you're going to save. Remember, use the shortcut, right? Command S, and go to your browser and refresh. Now you can refresh here, or you can use Command R on the Mac, Control R on the Windows. You shouldn't need to go double click this each time, right? Because if you keep this open, things are good. I tend to call this like the flow of developing, right? You're coding, you're saving, your browser, you're refreshing. We're going to do that over and over again. Code, save, browser, refresh. And if we keep this open like this, it'll make your life a lot easier. So we have a bunch of new HTML tags. We have this little, page thing going on here. And what did we do this time? So this time we added H1 tag, H2, a P tag, and we're starting to see, well, I can explain what we're doing, is the meaning of HTML and what it does. HTML gives meaning to our content. Meaning, meaning, meaning. That's its function. Take a look at this. See, if I had all of that content in Sublime, right? And don't do this, just watch along. If I had all this content here without any of those tags, I could save this. I'm going to save this as stuff.html. Again, don't do this, just watch. So now I save this, right? So hypothetically, I made a different page, and I'm opening that one up. And I'm doing this to show you what those tags are doing, because if I don't use the tags, look at what the browser sees here. The browser, all it sees is the text going down the page here, right? It doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know that this 1, 2, and 3, right here, are any different than the author. It doesn't know that this is the title of the page. It just doesn't know what to do with this stuff. There's no instructions. Get it? So back in our HTML, the HTML gives meaning. It says, hey, browser, this here is the H1, the heading 1, the most important heading on the page, right? And generally, we only use this one time, maybe twice on the page to give it a title. It's like the title of our document. And then the H2 These are the second, most important things on the page. They don't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not like that. It's weight. It's like the weight of importance, right? Like a newspaper headline, right? This might be like the New Yorker, and then each of these would be a blog post or a title of an article, right? So these are all level 2, right? And it goes 3, 4, 5, 6 different levels. Kind of like that high school outline you had, in high school with like ones and what was it, Roman numerals, A's, B's, something like that, right? So that's what we're doing. And then P is for paragraph. And as you can see, we don't need this, but we can go here. Oops. Okay. We have our paragraph down here. And it's somewhat, obvious now that there is some separation between these. Awesome. Our HTML is doing good. Man, what were we doing? What was the HTML? The meaning, right? Okay. All right. Hopefully jogged your brain there for a second. The meaning. The HTML is our meaning. The next thing we're going to do is introduce some CSS. CSS is the style of the page. Let's do that.